I replied that love is worthless without trust and told her to stay in the guest room. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Zone Stories. Today we have a story where this woman told her husband that divorce will be a mistake and she can fix it. Let's see what really happened. My wife and I got married in September 2018 after being together for 3 years. Right before our honeymoon, we bought a house together in Virginia, and after we got back, pulled our remaining money in time to completely redo her old starter home in Maryland, and sold that in early 2019. We both work full-time jobs in Virginia. I make pretty good money, she makes even better money. My wife, let's call her Katie, decided to pursue an MBA and started last fall. She had an educational trust that her parents started for her, and therefore didn't ask me for any financial assistance. However, because I saw how time-consuming the MBA was on top of her already large professional workload, I took it upon myself to take care of everything related to our still relatively new home, including dealing with contractors, managing all our bills, maintaining the house, taking care of our dog, purchasing and assembling furniture, yard work, cooking, cleaning, laundry, and hosting and entertaining her family that insisted on coming over at least 2 weekends every month. Lately, Katie had been unhappy with our relationship, complaining that I wasn't spending enough quality time with her and I'm not making her feel wanted. I tried to argue several times that between her work and studies and my work and home responsibilities, that there simply wasn't very much time to spend together in general. We would frequently not even get to eat dinner until 9 or 10 at night, and I would either need to bring her a meal to her home office or we would quickly eat together, and she would return to schoolwork to study or percolate in group projects. She would argue back that the things I was doing around the house were simply my responsibility as a husband, and that while she appreciated it, it didn't count towards me trying to maintain or build our relationship. We'd also been arguing a lot about other things, and combined with the lack of free time, would be intimate maybe once a month. But after one particularly emotional and drunken conversation, about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, I vowed that despite what I already thought was prioritizing her needs, that I would go even further. I began to take off work. I, unlike her, still had to go in during COVID, or go and leave early, stopped seeing friends, skipped workouts, and would even wait until she was occupied with something else to even take a shower, so I could spend as much available time as possible with her between her obligations. As a result, things seemed to be slightly improving between us, and now we arrive at last Wednesday. As per usual, I was making dinner for us. We have a tablet in the kitchen that I primarily use for recipes. As I was finishing up, the tablet began pinging non-stop, and I checked out what was happening. As it turns out, the tablet is linked to her Google credentials, and I first saw an ongoing Hangouts conversation between Katie and a friend discussing what to do about someone's wife who had come to our house that day while I was at work. Scrolling through the conversation history, I found more about Katie's lack of feelings for me, and the longing and dreaming to instead be with some guy, who we'll call Luke. Physically shaking at this point, I decided to venture away from Hangouts and open her Gmail, where I found several emails, going as far back as March, between her and Luke calling each other babe, sweetheart, and my love. Unsure about what to do next, I first took screenshots of everything I could find, then stepped outside to call the only person with law experience that I knew, an executive at my company who I'd become friends with. He advised that I immediately confront her, but first call someone to come over to the house to act as a witness, in case things became physical, or if she might later try to claim they did. So I had a friend over in about 20 minutes. I confronted Katie, and she confessed to the relationship, and she admitted that they had been intimate several times over the past 4 months, both at hotels and in our home. Now completely distraught, I tried to maintain my composure and asked her to leave. She stayed at a hotel for 2 nights, then despite my protest, came home on Friday, stating this was her house too. She insisted on talking when she returned, and not having a witness this time, I decided to record the entire conversation on my phone. She tried to reiterate that she had been unhappy, but despite that, had been reaching out to her friends and mother about suggestions and resources she could use to help our relationship, even though I had suggested counseling in the past, but she refused. She tried to tell me that she made a mistake, that she had already broken it off with Luke a week ago, that I was the only person she wanted to spend her life with, and the only reason she hadn't told me about it was because her friends had advised her not to. She also said that if we truly love each other, that divorce was a mistake, and that we should be able to get through anything. I replied that love is worthless without trust, and then said that if she insists on staying here, to please stay in the guest room. Obviously free usage of her home office and the guest bathroom, but to please stay out of our bedroom and bathroom unless telling me first. So now I'm here, sitting in my house alone with just my dog. Her and her aunt, uncle, cousins are currently at our neighbor's house for a barbecue. They don't know about what she did. I can't bear to go over there, because I don't want to talk to her, even look at Katie, much less pretend in front of a bunch of people that nothing happened. 90% of me wants to get a divorce, but despite her feelings, I was very happy with the life we were building. We had even been talking about being pregnant by this time next year. But no matter what I decide to do, I know I don't want to make that decision without getting more information about what I can do, what might end up happening if we proceed. And I definitely want to talk to a few Virginia lawyers to protect myself. We only have one joint account with less than $20,000 in it, and the only asset we share is our house. So that's it. I'm sorry for writing so much. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading. And I would really appreciate any and all insight, suggestions, or advice. I just feel completely destroyed, empty, and alone. Please help me. She cheated on him, and then she said him to do more to make her happy. That's ridiculous. If she valued the marriage, she would have also put in effort to spend more time with him instead of forcing you to put it all in. The only reason why she's throwing out all of that about how if they truly love each other, then he won't get a divorce, and everything else is because she got caught. I would have told her if you truly loved me, you wouldn't have bedroom activity another guy. There's no mistake when it comes to cheating. She only sees it as a mistake because she got caught. I think the fact that the first thing you did when you found out she cheated was call someone for legal advice is very telling. You didn't go to friends or family to cry or to a therapist for coping strategies. You immediately jumped to divorce. Despite you saying you are happy, there is definitely some disconnect between saying you do all of the work, sacrifice all of your wants and needs, and know your wife isn't happy with you, but still feel like things were good enough to start trying to have a baby. It's also concerning that you were so afraid she might get violent or lie, and say you were that you couldn't discuss her cheating without someone there. These are all big red flags to me. I think it's really important that you get some therapy on your own. Giving up all of your friends, skipping gym time, cutting out of work, and even scheduling your showers around your wife's whims is very codependent. And I'm worried that you're experiencing a lot of mental and emotional behavior. Whether you get divorced or work things out, you need to get the emotional support and counseling required to build yourself back up. I'm so sorry you're going through all of this. My husband and I have been married for 12 years, and he runs an alcohol treatment center that is heavily religious in nature. His father was a pastor, and when he was in school, he studied first to also be a pastor, and then pivoted towards a master's degree in pastoral counseling with a focus on substance abuse treatment, after he was denied for a position at a church he really wanted. One thing leads to another, and in our heavily Southern Baptist area, he ends up founding an organization and treatment center that incorporates our faith into sobriety. It has become a mainstay for a lot of local people, and people see it as a family. My husband is a great speaker, so he draws in a lot of interest, and he can easily get people to work for him for free, even though he makes a significant amount every time somebody signs up for a program. In fact, if he spent even 10% of his profit on payroll, these people would be making miles above the national average for their job. I often feel astonished that people aren't resentful that their contributions aren't being compensated for every fraction of what it is worth. But for years, I never really questioned my husband or what he did for work because I thought he was doing good. And everybody at the church we go to where he speaks at regularly also admires him. However, in recent years, I have been going to community college for paralegal studies, and I was able to be mentored by friends in the legal profession. I had put off college for so many years because of my relationship, and because my husband said I didn't have to worry, and that I could stay home and focus on the kids. I found an intellectual curiosity that I never knew I had, and definitely want to pursue a career in law. This didn't go over well with my husband, and I started to see how dismissive he was of most of my thoughts. I also found out he was lying pretty compulsively to people regarding his childhood and other credentials, a lot of which was to either elicit sympathy or make himself seem more brave or prodigal. For example, he said that his late mom was a habitual cocaine user throughout her life who beat him, an account that everybody in his family says is not true, and he also admitted was not true, but that he couldn't think of a good way to spin why he really went into the substance abuse field. He also constantly mocks every person he's around for work, and basically says they will never amount to anything and that they are idiots for either working for free or paying through their nose to get sober. When I married him thinking he was a great guy and that I would stick by him for life, but I find every day more unbearable. At home, he is a totally different person than in public. We had hired a cleaning company, and a friend of mine knew the owner. The owner said that he could have made a lot of money off saying that my husband was a client of his, but that he decided it wasn't worth it because of how my husband treated the cleaners who came over to our house. While requests by us have been met with schedule conflicts, we have obviously been banned, and I know that it's because of my husband's dismissive, irate nature. The straw that broke the camel's back was me going to the doctors with symptoms and finding out that I had a bacterial STD after missing periods and having a mysterious mild fever. But I knew that I wasn't the one sleeping around, so when I told my husband about the diagnosis, he freaked out and admitted to an affair. I was heartbroken, but told him he needed to tell her and her partners about this, and that's when it came out that he was having numerous affairs, and he didn't want to tell anyone about it. He got tested, and it turns out he was asymptomatic. I found out one of them was a long-term thing, but others were midnight bar flings across the country or escorts. He claimed that his life was stressful, and it was just an outlet. He agreed to wear a protection until I could trust him again, and said he wanted to work this out, and that we had to or it would be public shame for both of us. For a couple days after this, he was very apologetic, buying me gifts and surprising me with a planned trip to Paris. However, when he said that I should trust his expertise and refuse to see an independent therapist, even though there are so many virtual options that would have gotten us a reputable therapist on the other side of the country, he reverted back to being dismissive and ambushed me with an impromptu sit-down about our marriage, where he began painting infidelity recovery in a way that it was still only on his terms. I had had enough, and we ended up sleeping in different bedrooms. He responded to this by making the concession that I can have the passcode to his phone now, and that he won't ever get mad if I ask him to verify where he is going. But he also wants things to go back to normal and for me to act like this never happened. He said we'd be ruined if we divorce, and tried to bribe me by saying that I could get a job at his organization to further the career he was fighting me on. But when I still didn't just put a smile on my face and say all is forgiven, he will say that I would have a hard life if I divorced him, and that my career would be unrewarding and take me nowhere. What do I do? Our boys feel the tension, but both are overawed by their father. I cannot imagine starting over, and I feel like he would be very resentful of any divorce. But the duplicity of his and by extension our life is giving me whiplash. Divorce will be a benefit for her and will only ruin his reputation. It's clear to me that she will not be cared for as long as he's with her. He is self-absorbed and dismissive, and the fact that she noticed his bad behavior with others is a sign to leave. Of course, it's not that easy, but she will be better off away from this garbage heap of an individual. I am 27 and work as a paramedic. I recently moved back to my parents to assist my mother with my father's care. I have a brother Jack and Tim who lives at home with sister-in-law. Jack has an extremely toxic relationship with a girl I'll call Abby. He wanted to break up with her, and she stopped taking the pill and fell pregnant. They have constantly been together and breaking up since their son Tyler. My brother works self. They are currently split up, seems to be permanent. They split custody 60-40. Abby refuses to talk to me. Since I told her I didn't want anything to do with her, my parents dislike her but tolerate her for Tyler's sake. But I do not need to have a family relationship with her. Abby has started now asking my father a lot more to babysit Tyler, because my other sister-in-law has told her she cannot babysit, because her plate is full with their child. My father cannot say no, so always say yes, and every time he does it ends up being me babysitting him. Because my dad physically cannot care for him, pretty much can't do nothing for himself. She only ever asks him to babysit when she knows I am off work. On my off days, I often do self-care stuff like go to the gym, shopping, or meeting my partner for lunch, insert other activities like meeting friends, etc. However, since Tyler has been there more frequently, I do not feel comfortable leaving him alone with my father, so all of these things have dropped. Being a paramedic and part-time caring for my dad's self-care is extremely important, and it's a bit much caring for both my dad and a child that is not mine. Anyways, I had enough and messaged Abby that she needs to stop asking my father to babysit, because it falls on me to look after him, because dad is in no condition to do so. I told her she needs to look at finding a babysitter or ask my brother or mother to take time off, because I won't be caring for him anymore, and I will contact child services that she's unfit and the child is placed in inadequate supervision. I told her if she needs someone to babysit, she needs to hire a babysitter. Anyways, she told both my mother and my brother about this, and they both blew up at me. My mother pretty much said it takes a village to raise a child, and I am equally responsible to help out. My brother is calling me unreasonable and saying his son will suffer. I told my mother that she can take time off work to babysit him if it's an issue, and that I did not agree to babysit my nephew, and he is not my responsibility, and I won't be babysitting him in the future. If it was once in a while I wouldn't mind, but lately it's been every other day for 6 hours plus, and dad won't stop saying yes. She seems to ask him pretty much every time she knows I'm home not working. She won't ask him if he's alone. I told all three that if she continues to do this, I will contact family services, and she needs to get a babysitter or ask my mother or brother to take time off work. Am I wrong here? What do you think? Edit. I had a lengthy conversation with my mother. She is still insistent that Tyler is my family and I should look after him, because I'm home all day so they should work, whilst ignoring the fact I dropped my work schedule from 48 to 60 hours a week to 24 hours a week, so I can assist with dad, and I'm placing my life on hold to help her with dad's care, which is unconditional. And Tyler is not a responsibility I wish to have on top of this. Due to this, I have spoken to my parent-in-laws. Our rental was put on market, and we decided to move back in with our parents to save faster for a deposit, so I can assist with dad's care. They are happy for me to move into their house, and my partner is excited about this as she has missed living with me. I've decided this is the best thing to do given my mother refusing to listen, and family comes first crap, and also gives me a positive place to wind down that isn't work or a caring environment, which I don't switch off from. I've set boundaries that I will still support my father, but will not be living there, and that if Tyler is there I will leave him with my dad and leave. Due to this, my mum did message Abby and told her that she cannot ask dad to babysit anymore because of me, opposed to the fact dad physically cannot babysit a child, let alone care for himself. She is upset at me, and Abby has said I have made things extremely difficult on them when I could babysit, because I'm home so she can work because she's struggling. She constantly goes out for drinks and dines out with friends for brunch, and always spends money and pays close to no rent. I told her my only responsibility is my dad being comfortable, and I won't be responsible for Tyler, and she can get a babysitter or make my brother to look after him. My brother is refusing to talk to me, and he is upset. I had a minor chat to him and pretty much said I'm making career sacrifices to care for our dad's needs, so he can make sacrifices to raise his child. He hung up and haven't spoken to him since. My younger brother and sister-in-law are supportive and are on my side. I've told my sister-in-law that I would still be comfortable looking after their baby so she can clean, shower, etc. if I'm at the house. This sister-in-law does a lot to help my dad, and I have a very good relationship with her. Abby does nothing, and it's a very shaky relationship due to things she had done prior to this incident. I'll be moving in the next couple days, which is the best solution, and is 20 minutes away from my parents. Next time, call the cops and have them pick up Tyler. He did not choose to have this child. It is not his responsibility. He must set and enforce his boundaries. He's moving home to take care of his dad is already a big deal, but it sounds like his family is taking that for granted. He may want to tell them that if they continue, they will lose him altogether.